Hello, hi friends, welcome back to my channel. It has been 2 months, but I am so excited to do the very first official episode of Rich Lady Rebellion. And it is a weird title, but we're gonna get into the background of it before we dive into the rest. So I hope you'll stick around and hang out. It's going to be chatty. It's kind of just a check-in about beauty, fashion, lifestyle things, some books, kind of catching up with you since I've been gone for 2 months, but also I think that we're finding the perfect roots to my channel and I'm just so excited to get into it. So I hope you'll stick around, grab a beverage, grab a snack, get cozy, and let's get into what this series is about. All right, so what is the series? Welcome. I started this series and I'm gonna be looking at notes because there's parts of this that are very important and I want to make sure that they are conveyed as I intended them to be conveyed. So bear with me through that. But this series is meant to be like a softer and slower way for me to still be able to show up on YouTube and pour into this creative outlet and connect with you because I miss you when I'm not connecting with you. Life is difficult for reasons we'll get into, and I just wanted a landing spot to be able to share everything that I love. So that's beauty, rituals, and beauty strategy that we talk about, books, fashion, sensory care, all of that. And just being someone who is chronically ill, who is autistic, and trying to figure out how to kind of redesign my life. I've done a lot of that heavy lifting already, but I kind of have taken a step back to understand what that journey has really been like. And it really does feel like it's been a series of like cozy acts of rebellion almost, because the world is not necessarily built for how I am built. And so I've just kind of been rebuilding it my way, and I want to share that with you, but I also want to share the things that initially kickstarted my channel to begin with. So because of just how I'm designed, it's been difficult to show up lately because work is really busy. I'm at a very kind of important part in my career journey and I have a lot of responsibilities, and sometimes it's hard for my brain to turn off from that. And that on top of other obligations that I have and the world in general feeling like it's on fire, which I can't believe we even have to say that. It feels almost like we're getting used to it, but then you never get used to it. And it's the meme. This is fine. We're all just collectively watching everything burn, literally and figuratively. So that all to say, like, this is a more sustainable way for me to keep in contact with you and also still be able to carve out some time to spend talking about things that bring me joy and that I love. And even the editing piece of this, I just needed to carve out time. And right now it feels the most sustainable to do this. So that is all the context if you're a context thinker like I am. But basically this series is going to be weekly and I'm going to kind of just walk through my life and what's going on in certain categories. And we're going to use the acronym SOFT, S-O-F-T, similar to how you might see some people on social media doing like weekly reports where it's like reading, eating, that type of thing. But we're going to do SOFT because this is a soft rebellion, which I also think is like somewhat buzzy of terminology, but it did feel like it fit because even in some of my older videos where I'm being a little bit more opinionated, there's always that soft element to it. It's just very me, I think. You'll have to let me know what you think down below. But soft each week is going to cover standout beauty products, any outfits or kind of fashion styling things that I've been loving, what fed me, so the things that are bringing me joy even though the world is on fire and we all have a million and one things to do. And then T is for like how I took back power. So kind of going along the theme of what we've been talking about with like even some of the no-buy stuff or some of the year of prosperity kind of ties into that. So it really feels like I'll be able to touch on all of these topics that I talk about on my channel in kind of one landing spot each week. And then when I have energy and time, I'll still make extra makeup content, like I'm planning to film Empty's video right after this. So hopefully you'll stick around for this series and this kind of touches on everything I think that someone might have come to my channel for at one point. So there will always be timestamps down below for each section. So if you're only here for makeup, great. If you're only here to hear about books and podcasts and that type of thing, also works as well. And if you're here to keep up with me in my journey, in my autistic journey, taking back power is for you. So I'm so excited. I just rambled. I think I covered everything in my notes. Okay, future Rachel here. I have to butt in because I forgot a very important aspect of this, which is Rich Lady in the title comes from a very near and dear concept to my heart, which is the Rich Lady shower. I love living in the delusion that I am very glamorous and have all the time in the world to pamper myself in all the ways that feel luxurious and elegant and glamorous and just over the top pampering. And so it is part that with the Rich Lady part of it, like some of this soft rebellion that we're talking about in the delusion of Rich Lady, it's like I need to show up for myself the way that I think that Rich Lady would, that's slightly rebellious, that does it in a way that is somewhat gentle but still enough to take care of herself. And that's really the main inspiration behind this. So if you have been here for a while, and I mean a while, you'll remember the Rich Lady shower series. I talk about it on and off throughout different videos, but that is a concept that has always helped ground me and reset my sensory overload if I'm overstimulated. It is the way that I get back into my body, ease my mind, and also just give a ritual for myself that pours back into me and feeds me. So we're always going to cover in this series after the tea, my Rich Lady shower of the week, anything I've added to that ritual that has helped, or the scent that I'm loving at the moment. So yeah, needed to add that in there. I'm not saying rich is a monetary expression. It's basically like I am rich in the sense of pouring into myself and pretending I'm this glamorous woman who has all the time and resources in the world to just sit at her desk and pat a puff on her face for however long she pleases. So just needed to provide that context. On with the show. I think the only thing left to say is like, welcome to the new home base of my channel. I'm so happy that you are here. My name is Rachel. I probably should have started with that, but this is a little corner of the internet where we romanticize reality, reclaim rest, build systems and rituals that are meant for us no matter how we are designed, where everybody is welcomed and we are respectful on top of everything else. So I can't wait to dive into this. I've got some goodies. I've got a basket of goodies, and then I will be inserting media of some other things. So without any further rambling, because that felt like a lot, let's dive into beauty standouts for me. Okay, so this is probably it is the most product heavy section of this video, and it kind of spans everything this week. I've got makeup, skincare, perfume, hair care. We got just about everything you could ever hope for. So I'll start with hair care maybe because that's the largest thing. There's probably hair on this, maybe, but this is the hot brush from Bondi Sands. No, Bondi Boost. I don't know why. Bondi Sands is tanning. Bondi Boost. This, I think there's only one standard size for this, but this is like the stationary one. You can't take the top off of this. This is not a dryer. This is just a hot brush, so just the heat element, no drying. This is incredible. I used it to style my hair today. My makeup and hair have been done since 6:30 a.m. and it is 6:30 p.m., so 12 hours. It has fallen because I didn't add a lot of product to it, but if you use this with product, it stays really well. But what I love about this is I shower at night because it's allergy season and I can't go to bed with pollen on me and get the pollen in my bed. If you know and you deal with that, you know. So I shower, including washing my hair every single night to kind of rinse that off during this season. And what I love about this is I can shower, put heat protectant in my hair, let it air dry, go to bed, and then in the morning I just have to run this through, and it is so fast, especially if you have hair on the finer side, but it fakes a blowout so well, and you can even get curls. There's so many things that you can do with this. And pro tip, I recently got my hair cut and re-highlighted. I took this with me and asked my stylist to teach me how to style my hair as easy as possible with this and let her know my routine. And she helped me tremendously figuring out like which way to curl it back and stuff. So definitely check that out. This is under $100. I got mine during the Sephora sale, so 20% off, but highly recommend one of these hot brushes. It makes an evening shower or air dryer of hair person's life so much easier. That's what I will say. So, been loving this. And then let's take a stop on fragrance. I wanted to talk about this fragrance because I think I'm healing the inner child. And my very first perfume ever, not body spray, but perfume, was actually Britney Spears' Curious. And I have a soft spot in my heart for that. However, my next perfume was Fantasy. And I just feel like if you're about my age, a little older, maybe even a little younger, Fantasy was definitely in your lineup at one point because it was like the gourmand of our time. It was like that cupcake white chocolate with a little bit of fruitiness and a little bit of like sophistication at the time. And it was just, it's so nostalgic. But what's interesting is when I was like looking at people talking about Fantasy of today's time, Midnight Fantasy is the one that everybody highly recommends. I could go on a very long tangent about this. If you want a video talking about the Fantasy line, I'm happy to, because when I tell you rabbit hole hyperfocus, very that. And I now have, I think 13 Fantasy perfumes. I told you, I'm healing the inner child, and this felt like a very smart purchase because these are not very expensive. You can find them anywhere from $10 to $20 a piece for the 3.3 fluid ounces. Some of them are eau de toilette and some of them are eau de parfum. I believe this one is eau de parfum, I think. Anyway, Midnight Fantasy, let's get there, is like the original DNA, but they've swapped some things out for some dark berries and tart berries and plum, I think. I'll put the notes on the screen. It is very, very good, and my husband really likes this. He complimented my fragrance the day that I wore this. I would say out of all the Fantasies that I now have, this is the most wearable and just yummy from it. It doesn't give me the nostalgic vibes because it's not exactly the original Fantasy. In fact, I don't think it's very close at all to the original Fantasy, but it is like a tart but still a little bit sultry kind of berry sweet fragrance. But it's balanced with a little bit of that, like, I don't know, shampoo. But then there's something like slightly sexy about it that's like not smoky, not spicy. Maybe it's wood. I don't know. Anyway, I highly recommend Midnight Fantasy if you want to try any of them. They have little 1 ounce bottles. But I've just been really enjoying this. And I think it pairs really well with the Dove Blueberry body wash. That's what I've been pairing it with. So a win and a lot of happy feelings towards this week. All right, then let's do skincare and we'll jump into makeup. So this is just kind of an honorable mention. I tried a new Korean sunscreen after trying Beauty of Joseon. This is the Madagascar Centella Hylu Cica Water Fit Sun Serum SPF 50 with Centella from Madagascar. This is Skin 1004, is that how people say it? I don't know. Anyway, the packaging is very close to the NBE packaging, and you know I love me a pump. It's like the same exact packaging, just different colors. And I think I like this better than Beauty of Joseon, but this is much more hydrating than Beauty of Joseon. And because of that, now that we're in a season where my skin isn't as dry, it can be a little too much, especially if my foundation is hydrating. So the one I actually really want to talk about today, I thought I grabbed a second one, but we'll have to cover that next week. The one I want to talk about, and actually the one I'm wearing today, is the Ulta MD UV Sheer. This is SPF 50 face and body sunscreen with the vitamin C, transparent zinc oxide finish, and water resistant up to 80 minutes. This is octocrylene 10% and zinc oxide 15%, so chemical and physical. You get 3 ounces. It is a little bit pricier, but I get mine on the HSA store and I can use my HSA card, so it saves me a little bit of money. Think of it as like a tax-free purchase, so like 30% off or something. But it has a nice little nozzle tip and it's pretty fluid. Not super fluid, but you'll see a little bit of movement there. And what I love about this, especially compared to the one that I just spoke about, just drop the lid, it goes in really quick and it has some hydration, but for the most part, this dries down like satin to matte. It's not like matte sucking the life out of your skin. It is very hydrating and you can kind of see like a healthy skin sheen, but it's not overly dewy and I can put it under any foundation without any issues. And that's what I have on today. Again, bear with me, like there's gonna be wear on my makeup because it's been 12 hours. But I highly recommend this one. It doesn't sting my eyes. It doesn't like kind of transfer and feel like powdery or anything weird on my hands. And it sits nice under makeup. I just love it. And a 3-ouncer is just so nice. The sunscreen that we just spoke about, I believe this is like 1.6, which seems pretty standard. But yeah, I really like the Ulta MD. I know they're famous for some of their other sunscreens, so let me know if you are an Ulta MD user and which ones you like below. SPF is very important this time of year. Okay. And then lastly, for skincare, I just wanted to shout this out. So this is the Anua Rice Toner. I love toners. I am doing kind of what's trendy right now, which is, they're calling it skin flooding. Someone on TikTok started that, name on the screen maybe. I don't know that I'd go that far to say that I'm skin flooding, but I have been using toners a lot more recently. And I think toners are not for everybody and you don't need multiple toners or even a toner if your skin doesn't need it. But for me, someone who is very dehydrated from chronic use of antihistamines, my skin has no moisture, my mouth gets dry, like everything about me is dry, and this is a really nice way to kind of layer light, watery layers of skincare so that it's not something that's going to be comedogenic to me or feel suffocating from a sensory perspective. It's just a nice way to mist on some moisture. And this is not the original packaging that this toner comes in, but I purchased some misters from Amazon, which is so funny because, side note, I canceled my Prime. It has been canceled since the beginning of the year, but they gave me a free trial. Best believe I signed up for the trial to get free shipping for 30 days and immediately canceled it. So I took advantage of the free shipping while I had it because I needed a few things in the cart I was building. I have only made a few purchases from Amazon this year in total, and I've only made one purchase from Target this year in total. So everybody, I mean, I feel like I'm doing great, but I did get these on Amazon. The mist is really nice. You can see that. Why not? Nina Poole does say that this helps revive makeup, and I believe it. So I will link the sprayers that I got down below. I went off of reviews, and so far they've been really great. They haven't clogged, so love this. And it's a hands-free way of applying toner, which was like my main reason for getting a spray like this. You know I don't always love the sensory experience of products in my hands. That's where these come in. However, I'll offer you an alternative, which is to buy a pack of these caps because they fit most of the toner bottles, and it's a 24 millimeter. I'll correct it in the description box below, but 24 sized caps will work, and you can get them so that you can just cut the sprayer tube down to fit. So either one of those will work if you are like me and you like toners, but you don't want to touch your hands on everything all the time. All right, now that brings us into makeup, and I have 3 makeup items that I wanted to talk about. The first is just, I have been using this product for almost 10 years, and I consistently come back to it. I make sure I have it every single summer, and it is the It's CC Cream. And it is what I wore today, and it is just, I know exactly how it's going to perform. I love the finish that it gives my skin. I don't love that this transfers and it can give you like a really weird powdery feeling on your hands and then transfer to like your steering wheel, your keyboard. I hate that. But I've been testing out different combinations. We're going to touch on a little bit of some that I think help that enough that even before that, like it's not enough for me to not use this product. I love that it's in a pump. It's not the most expensive, but it's not the cheapest by far. I think it's $38 unless prices have gone up. I wear the shade Fair Ivory, and it's a pretty good shade match, surprisingly, because it looks orange. but it's very full coverage. You can wear it very full coverage. You can sheer it out. I just slap a little bit of this on for work, just enough to kind of even my skin tone on camera and call it a day. It's so quick, it's easy, it's dependable. I can't say enough good things. It's just fabulous. I love this product. They changed the package. If not, they shrunk it down. I think it's always been an ounce, so it's like 1.08 fluid ounces. I think it's always been an ounce, but this feels like shorter than I remember. Can anyone confirm? I haven't bought a full size in a long time because I was just getting the minis, but I just gave in during the sale because I just always use this. I don't know what to say. Summer, winter even, like this is just a go-to for me, and it is the original. This is a long one. This is going to be very podcasty if you ask me. So the second thing in makeup is the Westman Atelier blush and bronzer duo in Petal and Biscuit. I purchased this when I went shopping with Tom from Miss Tom here on YouTube. They are one of my favorite people to catch up with, and especially to walk around. We walked around the mall, and it was just so much fun. We got to like touch products, and Tom even mentioned in their video about how we were literally just watching different browns, and like we were very into it, and we probably looked very insane from an outside perspective. But knowing that I have someone to swatch brown cosmetics with makes my heart very full of joy. And we had such a good time and so much laughter. It just, my heart is very full from it. And I'm so happy that I did end up picking this up when we were out together, because now it feels like extra special in my collection. I have been much more intentional with makeup, especially, that's being brought into my collection. And I love that something as special as Westman Atelier with their packaging can be now tied to a special memory as well. And I will say, this is what I'm wearing today, what's left of it, both the bronzer and the blush. I was kind of skeptical about Petal, but as we were swatching in the store, I do think this is the right colorway for me. I almost convinced myself that I needed the deepest contour shade. Tom's like, and I was like, no, you're right. You can tell me when I'm being insane. But anyway, there's the swatch. So we have Petal and then Biscuit, similar to the creams. This I thought might be too orange and pink, but it ends up working out, especially for summer. So I have been loving this. I wish the packaging were heavier. Olivia Palermo is just still the gold standard for me on that. So is the price worth it? I would absolutely wait until you can catch a sale either on Credo, Sephora, or the Westman Atelier site. I would not pay full price for this because it is very pricey, and the packaging, while it has like metal weight somewhere in the bottom, the outer part is plastic. Which, like, come on, Westman Atelier. And then also, I just don't understand their waffling with, like, this product's refillable. It has refills. This product is refillable. It does not have refills. This is just not refillable. Like, this being a powder and not refillable, coming after the Vital Skincare Pressed Powder, that if you are not new to my channel, you know that I am, like, waiting and waiting on the refills for that to come out. And then also the lipstick palettes being refillable, and then this is not, is kind of a head scratcher, but I do love it, and it does feel like very cutesy, very fancy to apply, especially with a big fluffy brush, because I'm into the powders and the fluffy brushes right now. So I love this. If you can catch a sale and it's in your budget, yes. If not, hopefully you're not expecting something groundbreaking and heavy duty, because she's not. But I love her. And then lastly, I have the Scandinavian, the makeup finishing spray. This is the original bridal. I used to wear this religiously from 2016 until honestly, I think the pandemic, when I was like, I just don't care if makeup lasts because I'm at home all the time. But I'm back on this because I do think it helps. For 12 hours of wear, makeup is still on my face, and you can definitely refresh throughout the day with this. This will give you a bit of glow, not as much as MAC Fix Plus, but it has a little bit more of the film formers to help with longevity, but it's not as intense as like the Kryolan that I have. I highly recommend this. The OG can never be beat. Scandinavia is also who makes All Nighter. If you didn't know that, they've been around for a long time. I got mine from Camera Ready Cosmetics. A lot of makeup artist stores will have this, and I believe it is less expensive than some of the other brands per ounce. So, love it. And that was it. We are like 20 minutes in, and we just finished Standouts Beauty and Sensory Favorites. So, I don't know. We're going to see how this format shakes out. But let's get into Outfit of the Week, because this one will be quick. I don't have an Outfit of the Week. I think now that I'll be in the habit of kind of journaling my picks for this video series, I'll start documenting my outfits more. I will say I've had some recent luck at Free People Movement and Anthropologie. I think I got like 5, maybe 7 total pieces that I needed for summer just to accommodate my new size. And maybe we can get into those in the next week. But I think what I want to talk about here is like I'm getting back in the habit of like celebrating and getting dressed, or like celebrating the ritual of getting dressed. And right now I'm just chasing the feeling that is Celia B. We've talked about Celia B on my channel. I own a couple of dresses. I don't believe that they will fit me currently, which is okay. But I really need to chase that feeling in other ways. So if you can take these images and you have brands that immediately come to mind, let me know. I think Farm Rio is in line with this, but Celia B almost takes it to like that Barbie color palette, which is what I love. My vibe that I'm going for pretty much all the time is witchy Barbie version of Miss Frizzle. That's the vibe. So if you know, if I say that and something comes to mind, like I need to check that brand out, please let me know, because I do need to get just a couple of pieces. And I would love to share that whole experience of ordering, getting them in, trying them on, letting you know. So keep me posted. So that's kind of the quick outfit of the week situation happening. Then we're going to get into some really fun stuff, which is what is feeding me. I'm going to try to keep these short and just like rapid fire get through these with a little bit of context just to keep things moving along. But the first thing I'll talk about, let's talk about music. Let's talk about music. I don't know where I've been. I don't know why it took me this long, but I'm officially on the Sleep Token train. Hear me out, hear me out. Love a good costume. Would love to be the designer of those costumes. But also the vibes fit the fantasy books that I read. And if you are also a fantasy reader of the romantasy genre, or even just fantasy in general, it just fits the vibe. The outfits fit the vibe. The storytelling aspect of this band fit the vibe. And the music fit the vibe. It is kind of a genre bending type of music, I would say. There is some kind of lighter metal in there. There's a little bit of screamo, but then there's also like whimsical, popish bits to it, and like R&B. You just have to experience it. I would say if you're brand new and you don't typically like metal music or rock music, to start with Carmel or Provider. I think that's where I would tell you to start with, from their newest album. But the whole album catalog is chef's kiss. I can't listen to anything else. If you like Sleep Token, let me know down below. I am for the Sleep Token experience. And also, you just need to check out the lore. There's a lot of lore. If you're like me and you love a good rabbit hole and you like the lore, chock full. It is, you're set for the next week, basically. But anyway, that's it for music. I'll say in terms of TV, 2 shows I want to talk about. The Residents on Netflix. This is a Shondaland production, and it follows the world's best detective into the White House to solve a whodunit, and it revolves around the White House staff, meaning the people who run the operations of the building itself. So think the butlers, the engineers, the plumbers, electricians, the gardener, that type of operations of the White House. So visually it's stunning because it's inside the White House, and if you like that kind of old school Federalist antique vibe of decor, traditional decor, it is visually very stunning. And I relate a lot to the main character. I think the main character is very neurodivergent coded, if that's something you're interested in. And it feels like a very powerful kind of representation of character, not necessarily like super stereotypical and kind of like totally missing the mark type of thing, but she's amazing. She has this leadership, she commands this leadership respect while still being kind of true to herself, and I just love watching kind of her leadership style as she moves through the series. It is 8 parts. They are longer episodes. My husband watched with me. He enjoyed it. Highly, highly recommend. And then Love Island. Okay, I'm watching Love Island USA, and I'm so fed up that I started Love Island UK because I need to feel the feelings of the old seasons. Here's what I will say, and maybe if you're interested, I'll do a Get Ready With Me and give you my thoughts. I have been watching Love Island for years and years. I started with UK. I have watched all seasons of UK, and I just started with US last year because I am an Ariana Madix fan, because I am first and foremost a Bravo fan. And you'll see the things that feed me are generally things that I can like either turn my brain off of or give me a nice rabbit hole that I can go down, or just are pretty to look at. I think Love Island covers a few of those things. I love the colors they use for their set. It's very nostalgic to me. Like, it gives 2000s Barbie-ish aesthetic, just the bright colors. But anyway, I also find it fascinating from a psychology perspective. Enough people don't talk about how you can kind of do some armchair psychoanalyzation of how people move about in the villa, even like sociology. Like, anyway, not to intellectualize Love Island. What I'm saying is, I'm so frustrated with the US season. It's diverged so far from what it's meant to be. I feel like there's no couples I can root for. That's the whole point of Love Island. Yes, there should be some drama, but like, I'm here to see people fall in love, you know? And it's not giving. It's not giving that this season. So it is feeding me, but also frustrating me. I don't know. I just need to talk about it, I think. But then I'm gonna jump into podcast, Good Hang, still where I go to have a good hang, essentially. And I still highly recommend that. So check it out on YouTube or Spotify if you just need a break from the fires everywhere. And then current reads, I do want to talk about, because I am currently reading 2 books. The first I am reading on my Kindle, and it is Paladin's Grace by T. Kingfisher. I really wanted to get into T. Kingfisher this year. A lot of people recommend her books for the fantasy genre, and so far it's very cute. I'm not very far into the first book, but it is a longer series, so I'm excited to kind of dive in, especially now that I'm freeing up more of my spare time instead of rabbit holing at work. Anyway, I don't know that I can like give full thoughts and recommendations on that, but the other one that I'm reading, I'm actually listening to on audiobook, and I can highly recommend these audiobooks. So the book that I am currently listening to is Death Comes to Marlowe by Robert Thorogood. This is a second in a series. The first book was the Marlowe Murder Club. These are kind of whodunit murder mysteries that are set in the UK. So apologies, my camera overheated. This series takes place in the UK. I don't think it's London specifically, but it is along the River Thames, if I'm saying that right. I have mispronunciated that in front of people from Great Britain, and that was very embarrassing for me. And I still think about it pretty regularly. Anyway, it is a whodunit murder mystery. The main character is kind of an armchair sleuth who also writes the town's crossword puzzles. She's in her 70s, and it has great humor, in my opinion. And it is a murder mystery, but it is lighthearted, and it's just kind of like a fun whodunit. And I highly recommend the audiobooks because the narrator is incredible and really brings, I think, the main character to life with their voice. It's narrated by Nicolette McKenzie. I highly recommend you check out the audiobooks. There is, I believe, 4 books in this series. I read the first one in book club probably 2, maybe 3 years ago, and I didn't realize that it was a series, but I enjoyed the first book so much, and I did that through audiobook too, that I was like, you know what? Let's dive into the second book and kind of break up the genres that I'm reading a little bit. So those are the 2 books I'm currently reading. Definitely recommend the Marlowe Murder Clubs. I think I would recommend Paladin's Grace in that series, but I'm not far enough into it to like fully know the vibes yet. But I think I love it. And then I would love to talk about the other books I've read, but I believe with these 2 books, I'm technically on book 20 and 21. So maybe next week we'll just talk about my favorite books if you are more interested in that. But that is what is feeding me currently. Now, when it comes to taking back power, I'm doing a lot. I have been doing heavy lifting for going on 2 years now that we've talked about throughout my journey, but what I have really dove into and why I'm able to film this video now, which thank goodness, because ask my bestie Chelsea, I complain to her every week that I have not filmed. I'll even set everything up to film and I just don't get the time or energy to do it. So this is part of taking back power, starting this series, but also taking that couple month break. I am proud of myself that when I need those breaks, I don't push myself to be on social media, because I think that can be like a very easy cycle to fall into. And the last thing I would want to do is fake it, to be honest. Like, I can't do that. I'm not good at it, and I don't always have the energy. And I have been going through some like really deep life altering things and rebuilding my life, and just I needed time to focus on that. But I'm so happy that I guess I can show you my outfit today. It is this Athleta hoodie that has like a fake t-shirt, and then these are Eileen Fisher pants that are very comfortable. It is a very comfortable work from home dentist day, because that's what happened. Here's Frankie. Say hi. You haven't seen him in a while. Say, I just got my mustache trimmed. He's too busy barking. Okay, maybe we shouldn't bark. Where was I? Oh, I'm so happy that I took that time, because now I feel rejuvenated, happy to be back, and so excited to gab and tell you all of the things and share all of the things and catch up with you and get comments and respond back to comments. But what has helped me get to that point and what I was doing in that time off was really working on professional boundaries. I feel like I had really gotten the hang of boundaries in my personal life and in my relationships with myself, just all the types of boundaries, intellectual boundaries, time boundaries, like all the things, because that was not something that I was well versed in. Now I'm working on the professional side of it, and that is logging off and disconnecting and not checking back in and being able to leave things undone. And that's very hard for my brain, but I have found a lot of tools that have helped me, and the one that I would spotlight this week in particular that I just implemented this week has been my iPad and the focus settings. So setting different home screens and widgets to make very visual platforms to give me visual cues on when to transition tasks, when to transition my time, and having some of that automatically set up so that it's removing decision fatigue and my executive function load is much lower. That is really what's helping me show up in different areas of my life much more than I was able to before, because I was just constantly brain melted by the end of the day. Executive function overload, decision fatigue, social battery drained, like all of those things really contributed to that. And one work boundary that I have set for myself is saying no to meetings. And I have been a professional now for over 10 years, going on 12 years. And it is a very interesting time in your career, because you're no longer junior, you're kind of mid-career, and especially early in your career, it can feel like you need to be in all of those conversations. You want to hear all those conversations happening, but it has been so helpful to draw some boundaries there, be able to say no when I need to be able to do the work so that I'm not logging back in when I should be in bed sleeping or getting rest or pouring back into myself in other ways like this. So that's how I'm taking back power. That is the soft rebellion piece of this all. But something that I forgot to add in the beginning is we're always going to do a bonus segment of this, and that is the Rich Lady Shower of the Week. So Rich Lady Rebellion stems from like my soft rebellion aspect to this, but also I love to pretend and be delusional that I'm a rich lady, very lavish, very glamorous, because rich lady to me isn't necessarily a money thing. Like, I'm not out here wishing I was a billionaire, I'm out here wishing that I could spend all day pampering myself, basically, and being super glamorous like Marilyn Monroe, Audrey Hepburn, the glamour queens, you know what I mean? So, the Rich Lady Shower of the Week. I'm sharing my scents with you and also anything that has made the shower very, very pleasurable. I will say one thing that I wanted to talk about is hair care. Garnier Whole Blends Honey Treasures. If you're not new to my channel, you know the struggle that I have with shampoos. I have fine hair, I have drier ends, but an oily scalp. I break out on my scalp. I'm very sensitive to a lot of different ingredients. I've never been able to nail it down to one. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I am dehydrated and acne prone, just like my face. So it needs to be a decent clean without over stripping but still powerful enough to blast through oil. I love the L'Oreal Professional, and we've talked about that, but a drugstore option and a scent option that I really love because the scent is what inspired this. It is honey, but it's definitely a shampoo scent, so it's just kind of like a sweet, warm shampoo scent. Very, very good, but it is the perfect level of cleansing that I need. You can see I'm like down to here, been using this, and I also really like the conditioner. I can't say enough good things about these, and it's affordable. I think this pack I got together for $8. Love it. So I'm doing my L'Oreal Professional Metal Detox like once, twice a week when I need it, and then this to maintain for the rest of the week, and I can't recommend it enough if you have similar hair type and scalp issues. And then to the good stuff, the scent of the Rich Lady Shower Routine. I've kind of teased that I've been really on a scent journey and tying that to my needs. If I need to wake up, calm down, relax, whatever it is. I am so obsessed with Cotton Candy Clouds and Bath & Body Works. I'm telling you, the nostalgia bug has bit me 10 times over because that's where the fantasy perfume came from, but also kind of getting back into Bath & Body Works. That happened in January with the first semi-annual sale of the year, or the last one of last year, I should say. I fell in love with Cozy Vanilla Bourbon. It is such a good scent for fall. A little heavy, a little too warm and comforting for summer. I tried this. I didn't initially love it, but I couldn't smell it in store. I get overwhelmed in that store. But I went back and smelled it right when I knew the SAS or semi-annual summer sale, whatever it stands for, semi-annual sale, was starting up. I paid $3.99 for each of these, and best believe I have backups, but I'm obsessed with the Cotton Candy Clouds scent. It is spun sugar, pink berries, and whipped vanilla. Very sugary sweet, but there's something a little perfumey to it that's like, I think, throughout all of Bath & Body Works. But it is very bright from the berries, but still very sweet, and there is like a slight creaminess, like a cold whipped cream, I would say. It is phenomenal. You can see I've already put a dent in this, and I'm like not a body spray girl. I'm obsessed with this. Bury me in this is how I feel at this current moment, but I've been using the body wash as a second cleanse just for the scent. Like, I'm not washing with it, I'm just kind of like putting it up here for the scent experience in the shower. But then using the body cream and the body spray, the formulas have changed if you are like me and have not revisited Bath & Body Works in quite some time. These don't last as long, and especially if they have vanilla, they turn yellow, and then eventually they will separate and you'll be able to hear it when you shake it. So if you're getting backups for a scent that is not out all year long like I did, they always recommend getting the body lotion in the packaging like this. So that is what I did. I'm obsessed. I need to find a perfume. I cannot find a perfume. I've tested a lot of the ones that people say. So if you know of a perfume, you're obsessed with this, and you know of a perfume that matches this to a T or very, very close, please let me know. Pink sugar doesn't work for me. The licorice gives me a headache, and something that they use in their fragrance does. But I have 2 fragrances that I have been pairing with it. It's just not the full experience of this scent like I want it to be. I will say so far I haven't had an issue with my skin, and I have very, very sensitive and reactive skin. So I'm very happy because I get to indulge in all of the scent. I cannot wait for summer-ween releases and fall releases. Let me know if you've remained a Bath & Body Works person, because I'm in it. I'm fully back in it, and especially at $3.99. Cheaper than the drugstore. Don't come for me about clean beauty. This is purely for enjoyment, and if something's going to take me out, let it be cotton candy clouds, you know? That's how I feel. I just need the joy at this point. But I would say 2 perfumes that I would recommend to go with this. The first one is Yum Bougie Marshmallow from Kaoli. This is much more strawberry and it's much more creamy and musky. It's not as bright to me as the Cotton Candy Cloud, so while it matches, it gives it a little bit more creamy, dense of a vibe. It's not quite there. I do love it, especially with the EOS Strawberry Dream, but it's like its own vibe. Not quite Cotton Candy Clouds, which makes me sad. So the closest that I have and that I've come across is the Soleil Notes Vanille. This is 1 fluid ounce. It is eau de parfum. It is at Anthropologie and JCPenney, and I think some CVS Walgreens potentially, if not they have the body mist there. It is very singular vanilla, but it has a bit of a cotton candy aspect to it. Again, it is more syrupy and not as bright, and I like the brightness to my sweet scents. I love a good gourmand. I love a good sweet. My everyday staple is Ellis Brooklyn Sweet, which pairs very nicely with this because they're both bright sweet scents. There's a little bit of fruit there, but I like berries because it doesn't come across too childish. Like, this isn't a traditional childish cotton candy. Don't get me wrong. It's not like super sophisticated with oud or anything. But it's very kind of like clean and sweet smelling because it is bright. And if you know of anything, let me know. For now, sometimes I pair this, but for the most part, I've just been dousing myself in this. Let me know. Let me know your Rich Lady Shower scent of the week, of the month, what you've been enjoying. I love me a good Rich Lady Shower. You know, I had to check in on that. Also, it's the inspo for this whole series, so there's that as well. But I think that wraps us up. And before I go, I just wanted to say, if you've been around a while, you know I've tried to start different series, and similar to my No Buy or Year of Prosperity, and I loved exploring those themes, but I just don't know that I can be that specific on a topic for a long period of time because I'm going down different rabbit holes all the time. It's like one of my favorite things about me. And this feels like a good landing spot that can kind of encompass those no matter what direction it takes, but still cover the topics that I know that you guys like to see. So if you enjoyed this, please let me know down below. I'm excited to get in a rhythm of this so that it becomes more predictable and maybe not quite as long-winded. But if you like the long-winded, also let me know down below. And I hope you've been taking great care of yourself. Okay, before Frankie goes off again, I hope you've been taking care of yourself. I've missed you so much. I've missed interacting with you. I can't wait to respond to comments. I hope to see you down there in them. And yeah, let's catch up. I hope you're doing well. Take care of yourself and make sure you're feeding yourself and taking back power. And I will talk to you in the next one. Bye.